Scott Bell here, the author of the Camel Regiment, A History of the Bloody 43rd Mississippi, Volunteer Infantry, CSA, 1862 to 1865. I'm here at the historical marker, the Texas State Historical Marker, dedicated to General Richard Harrison, 1821 to 1876. Now I'm by a freeway, so hopefully it won't drown me out. What it says: one of a trio of brothers, great grandnephews of U.S. President William Henry Harrison, who all gained rank of general in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Richard Harrison was a physician and statesman prior to the Army's service. Won his general's commission in January 1865 in Mississippi. Moved to Texas 1866, settling near older brother General James E. and younger brother General Thomas Harrison. Practiced medicine, farmed, helped rebuild Texas economy, and was a church leader. He was a trustee of Waco University, a forebearer of Baylor University. This marker has 1865. Now, it's been relocated. Years ago, it used to be out on Interstate 35 in a roadside park. It disappeared from view for many years, but it was found again and placed here by the Texas Hall of Fame and Ranger Museum, which I'm right by. Actually, Richard Harrison is buried just right across the street from the museum. So you could come, visit Richard Harrison's grave and his brother James Harrison, the general, and right across the way is the Texas Ranger Museum, and you want to go there. It is awesome. Okay, and then right around the cul-de-sac here on the grounds is the marker to General Richard Harrison. In the background is the Brazos River, beautiful river, and over this way, you won't be able to see it, but down yonder is a house. It was called the Earl Harrison House. It was owned by, I believe, James Harrison, his brother, and Richard Harrison was a frequent visitor there. In fact, the house on display has Richard Harrison's old medical kit, his medicines that he mixed, and instruments and so forth. Now, let's talk about, you'll notice it says General, and I've referred to him as Colonel. Well, there's a little bit of controversy. Actually, Richard Harrison never made General. Okay, his service records reveal he was a colonel, and when he left, he put on his pardon. When he left the service, he put on his pardon that he was a colonel. There's no documentation that says he's a general, but you'll see it right here, right? Well, you know, as time went on, Confederate soldiers, whether it was a high private, received, let's say, honorary or affectionate rank, and I believe that's what happened with Richard Harrison. Somewhere the family says they began calling him General, although I've read diaries by the family and I haven't seen that, but it said it nevertheless. When I went to Austin to see what documentation they had for this marker, why it was called General. There's absolutely nothing in there. All it's there is just a picture of this, right? And there's a few other sources that relate to him as being a general. Well, even on the marker, it says that he was commissioned in January 1865, a general, which he was not. But he was back in North Carolina towards the end of the war with his regiment, okay? And he was in charge of Adams Brigade. General Adams was killed at the Battle of Franklin. Well, he was in charge at the brigade at that time, but there was a General Lowry from Mississippi who was he was the colonel of the 6th Mississippi, and he took over. He was a senior colonel, and he became the commissioned brigadier general. But at that time, when they took a roll, Harrison was in charge of the brigade at that time. Well, the Army of Tennessee had too many generals and not enough rank and file at this point in the war. It's near the end, okay? So you could say too many chiefs and not enough Indians. Well, orders were received for some of the officers to return to their home states and recruit and refit their regiments. And I believe that's what Richard Harrison did, because because at the end of the war ended in March, or it ended in April, as far as the Army of Tennessee went. Okay, so between when they came over there, he's in North Carolina. He's probably at the Battle of Bentonville. Harrison afterwards, orders are received that the officers can return, that some officers can return to their homes or their home states and recruit. I believe that's for Richard Harrison. That's where that came from. But anyway, it's kind of controversy to this day, but now you have it. I have a Facebook page, the Camel Regiment, 43rd Mississippi. Just kind of type that in, it'll come up to the page. You'll like it, you can like it, share, comment, right? And I've got a lot of neat stuff posted. I've got descendants send me images, and it's active now. If you want to order a signed copy, you can do so. You message me on the Facebook page, or otherwise it's available by on online retailers. So get it before it sells out. Then it's going to be hard to get. Dio Da Vinci.